The debate who owns the rights to Kennewick Man has been highly discussed ever since he was discovered on July 28, 1996. Throughout these past weeks of reading and learning all about Kennewick Man, my opinion of who should have ownership of these human remains changed multiple times, as both sides hold good claims and arguments. One word I used a lot throughout the study of Kennewick Man was the word morals. According to the Oxford Dictionary, morals is defined as concerned with or derived from the code of behavior that is considered right or acceptable in a particular society. Both the scientists and the Native Americans hold completely different morals. They come from completely different cultures and support different ideas and goals. The scientists' main goal is to study and discover Kennewick Man to make different theories about ways of life over 9,000 years ago. On the other hand, the natives believe that deceased humans should be sacred and have the proper burial as soon as possible after death. After debating on this topic the past couple weeks, I support the claim that the archaeologists and scientists have a stronger claim to the remains of Kennewick Man. The debate of first life in America dates way back further than the estimated life of 9,000-year-old Kennewick Man. There are supporting theories that state the first Americans came from Northeast Asia, as far back as 15 to 20,000 years ago. Most Native Americans may not support these ideas, depending on what reservations they reside at and what morals and beliefs they hold. It's really hard to determine what life was like 1,000 years ago, let alone 20,000 years ago. One tradition Native Americans really believe in is storytelling and sharing different events of past life with younger generation. This theory is that Native Americans hold stories and they're passed down from word of mouth throughout the years. The likelihood of the true facts and events of these stories not being altered is slim to none. Do you remember elementary school and the game telephone, where a group of people gathered in a circle and they whispered a phrase into each other's ears? By the time it got to the end of the circle, the phrase or the statement is changed in some way. Although this is not a childhood game, it holds the same concept. Stories are altered, and the facts of Native Americans may be false. And what the scientists believe in, that there was life in America 20,000 years ago, could also be false. No one really knows the true facts of history, especially from that long ago. Like I said previously, it all comes down to morals. What is considered right and acceptable in a particular society. I support the archaeologists and the scientists' idea to study and examine Kennewick Man to gather more evidence and to come up with more ideas and theories on who stepped first on America. Since Kennewick Man was the oldest remains ever discovered to this day, it is the best source of evidence study. Even if the scientists discover just one new thing, if the Native Americans even slightly believe in the science intentions with the human remains, it could help support the generations of Native American stories that could be true, false, or somewhere in between. My second main support has to do with race and science. Due to current research and studies, we now know the idea of racial categories are not directly linked to their underlying genetic makeup due to the evolution of humans throughout time. The idea of race is only based off someone's opinions. An interview with 60 Minutes with Morgan Freeman states the idea of racism perfectly. When asked how to end racism, Freeman states, "Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man." While the idea of racism doesn't fully apply to the study of Kennewick Man, the idea of identifying race does. As stated in Chapter 4, page 37 of Skull Wars, written by David Hurst Thomas, the Caucasian skull was the most symmetrical when viewed from top and from the back. Since the circle was the most perfect shape in nature, Bloom-Block concluded that the near-perfect of Caucasian skulls must have been the type created by God. Who's to say that the skulls identified as white skulls were actually those of someone of Caucasian descent? An argument that the Native Americans made about Kennewick Man was that he had to be Native American descent, and that's why they wanted ownership of the remains. The Native Americans were not the first race to be on this earth, so how is it established that the remains are those of Native Americans? The Indians only got to name Native Americans by the new settlers of the land in the early 1800s. So when the argument of race is brought up to who has the rights of Kennewick Man, race is only established by discrimination and the lack of support of historical facts and social interactions associated with the human body. Overall, there are many factors and variabilities in who really has the rights and ownerships of the Kennewick Man remains. As stated throughout this video, the idea of morals plays a huge factor in this debate. As human beings, we all hold different views and ways of life. No human being is identical, not even fraternal twins. If as a human race we all agreed on the same decisions and morals, there would be no war, no disagreements, and no opportunities to debate what is truly right and wrong. In my opinion, the intentions of the scientist studies of the 9,000-year-old human remains is only intended to help understand the human race more than it was before. Although I respect the Native Americans' views that deceased humans are considered sacred and deserve proper burial ground, there's no opportunities in these moral values to help form and discover more theories on what life was really like thousands of years ago.